All right, welcome back to the podcast of You Had Me at Horror. I am the host today, not rated, and today I'm joined with Miller and his piano. Yes, as you can
Please
tell.
introduce yourself. Oh, you already did.
So yeah, welcome to the first official movie review episode. Today we're going to review the movie House on a Hill Night from 1999. It's a movie that people voted for back in the past, and it'll be a good first actual review of it. So, but yeah, we just ended up
Better
watching
known
it.
as Haunted House on Mountain.
Yeah, better known as House
That
on
name
the
shouldn't
Mountain.
have caught on.
Yeah,
The hill wasn't haunted and it wasn't a house. Let's be real.
yeah. It wasn't a house. It wasn't on a hill. It was on a mountain.
And the house was the thing that was haunted,
Yeah,
not the hill.
the hill was innocent during the whole time.
The poor hill. He's he's been getting flack ever since this movie came out
Oh
in 1959.
yeah. But anyway, so like I said in the podcast, the first episode, usually we're not gonna spoil it right away, but we will tell you when we're about to spoil it. So if you haven't watched this movie, go watch it. It's actually really good. It's really fun. I know Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a Here, let me get my notes up real quick here.
Like 31% or something, right?
I think it was 31%. If you can pull it up, because I know you have it. I gotta pull it on my phone because I can't pull it on my PC.
Yeah, 31%. I was just looking at it earlier. I had it pulled up on my other monitor.
Yeah,
So I cheated. I'm not actually that smart. I didn't know what it was. Like off the top of my head. I looked at it like 30 seconds ago.
yeah. So Rotten Tomato ratings 31%. IMDb rated a 5.6 out of 10, which is something. I think the movie
Not
deserves
fair.
more than that though, because it's actually like a good movie. It's a fun movie to watch and all that. So
Oh, yeah.
it's actually a super fun movie to watch. So
It's a good movie.
it's a great movie. I don't
It's
know why
not fair.
people are talking shit about it. Well, they don't talk shit about it. I don't think people talk about it at all. But yeah, this movie is
Oh.
also directed by William Malone, which, if that name sounds familiar, he also directed Fear.com and Supernova.
I don't think I've seen Supernova.
I haven't
I've seen
either.
Fear.com though.
I think my only gripe
I
with that
like
movie was the
Fear.com.
fact that the website's called Fear.com.com.
That'd be really confusing. What's the website link? Fear.com? Okay, Fear.com. That's no Fear.com.com. Fear.com, two dot coms
Yeah,
or one?
two or one, I don't know. But yeah, it's
No.
directed by him. Actors, I would say for well-known actors, Jeffrey Combs. Obviously, if people are familiar with him, he's in Reanimator. I think he's more famous for that. He was also in a lot of other stuff. He was in that one movie called Would You Rather, I think.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't make it all the way through because that movie actually gave me anxiety.
Oh yeah, that's also a really good movie though too. Yeah, he was the rich guy who made them all do that stuff in Would You Rather.
Oh no, would you rather? I did watch that entire. That had Randy from My Name Is Earl.
They also had the one guy from Trailer Park Boys.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the one who held the firecracker in his hand, and he's like, "Oh,
That was a good movie. No, I was thinking of a different movie that gave me anxiety that I couldn't finish it. It was one where there was like that game, like that role or not role playing game, but like that those old games where like you type out what you want to do and then it goes on to the next scenario and then you type in what you want to do.
yeah,
And there's a horror movie off of that where whatever you type in the game like happens in real life or something. I don't remember. A
Stay Alive."
buddy of mine recommended it. What's that?
Was it Stay Alive?
No, no, no. That's a much more realistic video game. This is like one of those like text adventures, where it says
Oh,
like it's literally just text in front of you and it says like you're in a dark room. There is a door to your left and a door to your right. Which door do you go through? And you type in like left or right, and then the game advances just through text.
oh, that sounds interesting.
Or-
All right.
It was a horror film.
So the other actress, Ali Carter, also most famous for Final Destination 1 and 2. She played Clear Rivers in that movie, so she looks familiar. If you watch this movie, that's because she's from that. She's also in other stuff I haven't really looked up, but I think the mostly known in the horror community is just those two movies, I think. And then also Bridget Wilson's in it too. She was in Mortal Kombat. She was Sonya Blade. I think that was pretty cool. And then I know I didn't get every other actor and what they starred in, which I think we have the Wikipedia page. We can let them see like who else.
There aren't a lot of famous actors in there. Like I'm sure a lot of those actors were probably famous in like the 90s, but I don't think any of them went on to do anything besides, like you said, what was it Ali Larter?
Yeah, I think it was the only two that really did anything. Because the fact that like Ali Lauder had like Final Destination 1 and 2, which I think the second one came out around this time. I don't remember it came out at the same time as like House on Hill, but but yeah, those are the actors that I think are more noticeable. I think the rest of people won't really know that much. Because like you said, they're not really in much anything else. Although we could be wrong. Someone would be in the comments being like, "But this guy is pretty cool. And he was in this stuff." And like, what we don't know.
Oh, Choose or Die
Oh,
was the movie I was thinking of. Yeah, where they had to make a choice between like either this happens to you or this much worse thing happens to someone else. And if you don't choose, then like you both die.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. But yeah, like I said, this movie, if you haven't seen it, go see it. We think it's pretty good. Like we just got done watching it. It's pretty good for what it is. I mean, if you can get past the old CGI stuff, it's actually a good movie, to be honest. But yeah,
It wasn't too bad either. The CGI is not really like watching it now. There's a lot of movies I watch now that like came out within the last few years, even that are so low budget that I watch them and I'm like, this looks like a movie from the '90s. And then I watch this movie and I'm like, wow, this looks like a movie from the 2000s.
Oh yeah.
Like it was ahead of its time. It was good for its time. I don't want to say it was ahead of its time. It was good for its time.
Also, I guess a fun fact we'll mention that it says in the Wikipedia article, which I don't know if it's true. People can add this, but apparently for promotional stuff for this movie, they had lottery tickets, and apparently if you win, you got $1 million plus Blockbuster rentals.
I bet the Blockbuster rentals really
Yeah.
came in handy.
It's like, oh my god.
When did Blockbuster go under? Like 2 years after this movie came out?
Maybe, I have no idea when it went under.
They're like, can I just get anything else besides Blockbuster rentals? Like a candy bar or something that'll be of more value to me.
Right, it's just like, oh, what you can rent any movies you want at Blockbuster? Cool. Nowadays, it's
Yeah.
like, well, you can go to the one Blockbuster that's left. That's only there. You think someone won that and still had those Blockbuster rentals and goes there?
Probably. They probably drive across the country just to go to that one Blockbuster. This like that Family Guy episode where they drive across the country to go to Blockbuster.
Right. Oh, that's great. But yeah, that's the spoiler-free section, I guess. We're gonna get into the spoil. We're on top of the movie, talk about parts we kind of like had problems with, stuff like that, and then kind of talk how good the movie is. And then at the end, we'll give a rating. So, stay tuned if you want to hear the rating that we want to give it. But anyway,
Do you want to give it a rating now, and then after we discuss it with each other, we'll see if we change our ratings?
Oh yeah, sure. I would give it like probably a 7, 8 out of 10.
Honestly, I was thinking right around the same. I was thinking 6 or 7.
Oh, 6, 7. I was being nice though, because yeah, 6, 7 sounds right. I was just kind of being nice, saying 7 or 8, because yeah.
I would say right around there because it's entertaining. Like thinking of it through a lens of someone watching it in '91 or '99. Was it 91, right? Or was
99.
it 99? 99. I don't know why I was thinking 90. Oh, that was when I was born. I'm getting confused on when I was born and when House on Haunted Hill was born. Looking through it as a lens of someone watching it in '99, like compared to other movies from that time, it's really good. It was entertaining. The effects were honestly pretty good. The acting was good. I mean, it wasn't
It was
fantastic,
just
but it was good
good.
acting. Yeah. I'm not gonna say those guys deserved Emmys or anything, but they deserved the check that they got at the end of that. All, $27 that they probably got for filming. I
$27.
don't know what the budget was.
No, I think they all did a good job. I think the best actor out of all of them was probably the guy who played Vincent Price. I think he did a good job.
Vincent Price and then Pritchard. He was very good at being like the awkward, scared guy that just wanted to leave. Like he was the smartest guy too the entire time because he was like the voice of reason because they were like we should go and do this and he's like no we should not we should leave.
No, the house will kill you.
It's like right from the beginning he was like can I have my check and leave now? There what when like even from the beginning when they first introduced him they were like so is the house really haunted? And he's like it's scary let's go.
It's like, well, I mean, people died here. But he mentions that his like dad died, but he died in a different spot. But his grandpa died from a construction accident. Air quotes construction accident. It was ghosts.
He was just the guy that didn't want to be there but wanted to make some quick money.
Yeah, because I think he
He was
owned the
like,
house too.
yeah,
Yeah,
he inherited it, but he didn't want it. He was like, this guy's paying me some money to bring some people here. I'm just gonna bring them here and get the hell out of here. I don't want
sadist.
to be here.
Yeah. Although we should probably start at the beginning too, the part where it shows Vincent Price at his job, showing like a camera crew, like his new ride he has.
Oh, the roller coaster,
Yeah,
yeah.
the roller coaster, yeah. Like that scene where it's like, what makes your roller coaster different than everybody else? And then like he answers like because you start at the top and there's like an elevator you have to take up.
That's a very memorable scene from the movie too. Like when people remind me of this movie, that is in like the top three most memorable scenes. That and the one we discussed earlier. That whole roller coaster with the elevator
Yeah, that's probably
is
more memorable too, because like I guess back then there wouldn't be a lot of like roller coasters that start at the top, probably.
yeah.
Nowadays it's probably like one
Well,
of them.
yeah. Well, like I said, I think Space Mountain in Disney World. I think it's Disney. It's the one in Florida, I think. Space Mountain. Well, I think there's a Space Mountain in both, but I think that starts at the top.
Yeah, I think it does too. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I've never been to Disneyland, so. But yeah, it starts with that. They go up the elevator, and then, something happens. Oh, the elevator breaks. Now they started falling. Everybody's freaking out. The one guy's doing the thing you're supposed to do in the elevator too, by the way. Remember that where they tell
Oh,
you
where you
like,
jump, where
yeah,
you
you gotta
jump.
jump.
I don't think that actually works though.
I thought it did. Like I remember people
I
would
think
tell
I
you like
remember
if you're in an elevator and it's falling, you gotta jump. So when the impact happens, you don't like take a lot of damage.
Yeah, instead of falling, like instead of hitting the ground at the impact of something that's been falling for, hundreds of feet, you're only falling like a foot because you're only in the air from. But I think I remember seeing it wasn't Mythbusters, but it was like another YouTube channel that kind of does something similar. And I think they were like some physicists, and they were talking about how that wouldn't actually save you. Like I feel like because when the elevator collapses or hits the ground, it's gonna like crumple like a tin can. So it doesn't matter where you are in the elevator, you're gonna probably get crushed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because I was like, I mean, we get told that so much though. Like be like, wait, I feel like you get told that not much anymore. I guess because yeah, you're probably right. It's not true. Like I don't think if you jump in the elevator while it's falling, you'd survive.
It just seems like one of those things where it would make sense in your head, but then, you know, on paper it seems like it would make sense, but in practicality it doesn't. I mean, there's probably no one who's, experienced that who can tell you whether it works, so you just have to go off of physics and what we can predict.
One guy in the comments gonna be like, "Yes, dude, it does work because it happened to me." It's like, wow, you left without a scratch. No, I lost both my legs. But anyway, yeah. So the elevator starts falling, and it's a fake. Vincent is, I guess, in this world, is known for doing scary stuff. Like he scares people. So he fakes the elevator crashing, and then the people who are doing the interview get on the roller coaster and start riding it. They're like, "Woo, roller coaster, yeah!" And then towards the end of like the montage on the roller coaster, like the tracks break, and then the cart in front of them kind of like flies off into the sky or whatever and crashes. And during this part, you know, you get Vincent on the phone with his wife, and then the guy's walking up being like, "Oh, we got a problem, sir." And then that part scene happens, which makes you think like, "Oh, are they gonna fall off?" But no, it's another trick by Vincent.
Right.
Which,
I love it how it makes you feel like that guy's going to report that, hey, we just killed 14 people. In reality, he's just reporting something unnecessary.
he's like, "Yeah, one of the machines on the coaster is like malfunctioning." He's like, "Well, put in the screamer mode and just fix it like that." It's like, okay. Which I gotta say, in a realistic view on that, how much money would that cost you to just have a cart just fly? Because that wasn't CGI. That was not computer generated. That's actually a cart falling off the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention the lawsuits when that empty cart falls on a family that's
Right?
eating corn dogs walking down walking down the path of the amusement park.
And also, if that mechanism like malfunctions and stays open, like, oh god.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like no safety guy. As a guy who's going to school for occupational health and safety, no nobody would let you open that part.
Yeah, you just talk to Vincent being like, "Yeah, I don't know how you got this like past safety. There's so many problems here." And then he'll just be like, "You want to spend a night in a house for $1 million?" Like, yeah.
The guy that he hired to approve all of his rides that they were safe drives off in a Hummer. And he goes, "Thank you so much, Mr. Price, for the raise, for the bonus."
But
That's how you got it passed. Okay.
also does start with her wife in a bathtub. It's her birthday. That's the whole thing. It's like her birthday. She'll throw a birthday party. So Vincent has to type up a guest list, and he deletes the guest list and writes his own with different people. But then a spooky ghost appeared. Well, you don't see the ghost. You kind of see the words on the page get deleted by themselves and type different names. And then we cut to a montage of the people showing up to the music of Sweet Dreams, which is so 90s.
If I wasn't so lazy, I would grab my guitar and I would play that on guitar.
I think we could copyright strike if we do that, though.
Yeah, I don't think we need a copyright strike on our first official episode.
No. But yeah, so it cuts to them arriving at the house. Vincent, well, not Vincent, the wife comes out. And she's like, well, who the hell are you guys? And then the glass up top, which they mentioned earlier, being like, oh yeah, that's there because it helped the inmates somewhat, but it's terrifying. I don't know how that helps anybody, because it's very terrifying. It's just like a stained glass that's just full of like faces that are laughing at you. Like, I don't know how that's like peaceful.
You'd think they'd be more concerned about the fact that the original stained glass window shattered.
Yeah, they
But
actually
nobody
like
seems
destroyed
very
part of the
concerned.
building.
Everyone's just so nonchalant about it. Like, well, maybe someone else planned that. I don't know.
No, it's like, yeah, it's all planned. That wasn't actually the glass. We have it in storage. We don't have it in storage. We actually.
And if they cared enough about getting out, couldn't they have just stacked stuff on top of each other and climbed out through the window that was open?
I think that was shut, because during the scene where the whole thing goes to shut down, I think that probably shut too, to be honest.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. Which I forgot to mention that too. That. Oh, I forgot to mention the beginning part where the asylum like go crazy and everyone dies. There, that's coverage for that. Shows the asylum, and then everyone dies. And they get locked in the asylum and it burns. So that's a quick recap of the beginning of the movie, the official beginning. I kind of skipped that because I forgot about that part.
The pre-credits or
No,
pre...
before we get into the movie, before we get to the roller coaster, they showed like what happened at the asylum. It was on a
Right.
TV show that I think Vincent's wife was watching when they were talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And how they announced that as the the house that's on Haunted Hill. I think they call it that in the TV section of it
In the documentary.
in the documentary. Yeah.
So it wasn't even the writers of the movie that got it wrong. It was whoever made the documentary.
I mean, like you said, it's easier to say house on Haunted Hill than being like it's a asylum on a mountain.
Haunted building on mountain didn't have a ring to it.
Yeah.
When the writers pitched it at the pitch meeting, they were like, "We've got a movie. Here's the script." Then the guy who approved the script was like, "It's fantastic. What are you gonna call it?" He's like, "Haunted Asylum on Mountain." And they all looked at each other like, "Uh-uh." No.
That's it's gonna be House on a Hill, but it's on a mountain. It's a hill.
I feel like we should I feel like we should cut that section where I just said that, and instead we should like we'll film ourselves doing a pitch meeting, or
Right.
we'll just cut that video clip in. Like I'll do a quick recording of myself wearing like a fake mustache. Well, I've already got a real mustache. I can't do
Put it
that.
over your fake put it
But
over your real mustache.
fake mustache over my real mustache,
Yeah.
and then just film myself sitting around a round table pretending like I'm doing a pitch meeting. Haunted asylum on mountain. Uh, we can do better.
That would be great. But yeah, so pretty much back to the party. So girl, I forgot her name, comes down. By the way, I will not remember a lot of these people's names because I'm very bad at names. So
They're not very memorable characters,
yeah.
except Vincent Price.
Yeah, Vincent Price is probably the only one you really remember. The rest are kind of just like no names. But yeah, the wife comes down. She's like, "Who the hell are you people?" And then the stained glass thing breaks. The man football tackles the lady to the table, almost killing her. Because in the
She
scene,
was
like,
better off not being saved.
yeah, because the giant piece of glass lands right next to her head, and I was like, if you didn't football tackle her, you probably would have just been fine.
He was trying to kill her. He tackled her into where the glass was falling.
Right. And they all get like shredded up from the glass though. Because of that, I'll be like, oh god.
That's how the movie could have ended a lot quicker if the ghosts didn't suck so bad.
Yeah,
The ghosts are kind of terrible.
I mean, it's just
Like,
like, how many ghosts are there though? Is it just, or is it just the house?
well, no, there are ghosts because, well, he mentions later on, which we'll get to. He mentions, "Oh, you were just playing with the ghosts. Wait till the darkness comes out to play or whatever."
Yeah. Which, I also like to mention Finland Vodka sponsored this movie. Same with Blockbusters, because they have like scenes where you could see it clearly. You can see Finland Vodka a lot in this movie. They showed a lot.
I always hated product placement whenever they always made it so obvious that it was product placement whenever they were sponsored by someone. It was always super obvious.
Wow, what are you drinking there right now? It looks so refreshing and delicious.
This episode is not sponsored by Voodoo Ranger. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Voodoo Ranger. Hard charge tea. It's good stuff.
But hey, Voodoo, if you want to sponsor us, go contact us. Be down.
Please do.
Yeah, sponsor Miller.
I drink more of your tea than the rest of your customers combined. I shouldn't admit that.
But anyway, yeah, so the glass breaks, Vincent comes out, and he's like, wow, this is kind of... I don't think Vincent knows who any of them are. And then the house goes in lockdown. Well, actually, no, he talks to them about, like, you gotta stay the night here, and if you stay a night, you get $1 million. That's the whole stick about it. It's like, if you stay a night here in this haunted house, you get $1 million. You leave. And then people are like, yeah, cool. Which, by the way, the characters, there's one that's an ex-pro sports, or pro athlete. One's a doctor.
Yeah, baseball player.
Yeah, baseball player. One's a doctor. One is an ex-actress, I guess. Because she has a video camera and she's trying to get footage and get back on top, which, I mean, fair, I guess. I mean, if you're going to a haunted house, but also bring a camera, right?
Oh, I would.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I would, yeah.
I tried to bring one to a haunted house last October and I got kicked out. Lame.
So yes, we got like a ex-pro athlete, doctor, ex-film star, I guess. And then we got Allie Larker, she says she's a VC of a company. Although we learn later that that's a lie.
She lied.
Yeah, she lied.
She was just like the secretary for the vice president or something.
Yeah, because the vice president's like a asshole, I think.
Well, so was she, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, she lied about it. What you were mentioning during the movie, I mean, like, well, will the check not work thing? She's not vice president.
That always bothered me because he literally asks, like, who should I make these checks out to? And she says she says that. You corrected me, though, because I don't...
Yeah, because I don't think titles matter, as long as your name's on it. Because I don't think a bank's going to fact check and be like, well, you're not vice president, and then just not cash the check.
But I guess I never really realized if she used her real name and just a fake title, or if she used her actual the vice president of her company's name.
No, I think she used her real name because if she used a fake name, that wouldn't make sense then. Because she wouldn't get the check. The vice president would.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember she when the her and the ex baseball player are walking later on, and he says, "Well, I want to know the real you," and she goes like, "Inside," and he goes, "Well, we can start with your real birth name." So he makes a comment about her using a fake name.
I don't know. Maybe she used a fake name. I don't know. It's like so. That's the thing with this house. So as we learn later in the movie, which the house invited them, I guess that they invited him for a reason. And if she used a fake name, is she still related to the house then? Because I think the doctor wasn't. Because the doctor
They were
was.
all probably using fake names.
Yeah. I mean, it's a movie. But yeah, so Vincent Price shows up. He explains the rules. You know, you stay the night, get $1 million. The guy who owns the place really wants to get out of there. Like, really. He's just trying, telling Vincent, like, give me my money. I want to leave. And then Vincent's, like, pulling the check away from him. Like, no, no. You want to stay, huh? Yeah, you want to stay? Oh, he keeps pulling the check away from him. I think at some point I would just clock him. Just be like, dude, you promised to pay me. If you're going to play games with me, I'm just going to clock you.
What is it that he says? I want it. Give it to me
Yeah, he
now.
says that. I want to give it to me now. And he's like, okay, here. And then after he gets a check, that's when the lockdown starts. Then all the iron shutters, like, close. Which, to be fair, I feel like with a building like this, the guy who got the check, he restored the building, right? So he owns the building, he restored it, his grandparents made it. Why would you not deactivate the safety protocol?
Yeah, that would be like a one of the major fail safes if you were gonna have an event like this. Like make sure that there's a way for people to get out in case something went wrong.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, well, now we're all locked in here till the defense morning, I guess. Because I think they said the morning the defense mechanism, like, turns off, which I don't think it does.
Well, I think he said like the janitor comes by in the morning or someone comes by in the morning. So he's like, well, when so and so comes by in the morning to work on something, then they'll let us out. And it's like, man, considering you're a rich guy who was prepared to spend at least like $6 million on tonight, five for the guests, and imagine $1 million to rent the house or whatever it was. Like you'd think you would, do a little bit better of a job planning. Like, oh, this is a $6 million, thing that we're planning, but we didn't put any planning into it at all.
Well, yeah, remember, it's Vincent Price. He does not care about safety.
It's all about the scares and the entertainment.
So yeah, the whole building shuts down. Everybody's like, "What's going on here?" And then the one guy who owns the building is kind of just trying to get out. He's trying to pry the metal up, and then at one point he's like breaking a window and shoving the glass out of the way with his bare hands, and trying to like push up the metal plate. Which I'm like, I don't think that'll work. But I guess you just fucked up your hands anyway. And then, I mean, they find him like that, and then they go back to the main room where they're drinking, and I think his wife's there too at the bar. Or actually, no, I know, like, doctor's at the bar. And then the guy mentions being like, yeah, the house has us now. We're all screwed. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? You mean ghosts? Or I don't think he mentioned ghosts. He just thinks that they're kind of screwed now because they're locked in the house. And then they mentioned that there's a control panel in the basement, which is kind of odd for that to be there if it's in the attic.
You think you'd put it somewhere in close to the main entrance?
Right, there should be like a lever next to like the mechanism where you just pull it and then just it all opens up again. But apparently it's in the basement.
I guess they were trying to hide it from all the inmates in case they had to put it into lockdown so none of the inmates could accidentally find it.
But that's where they kept the inmates though, was in the basement.
This whole movie makes no sense. I'm gonna take back like 4 of the 7 slashes that I gave it earlier.
Oh yeah.
The more I think about it.
By the way, our ratings are slashes, so just keep that in mind, people. So we get an official rating and we cite slashes. Could change in the future, but you know what? Right now we're gonna do slashes. But anyway, yeah. So they all go to the basement. All 3 of them do. The ex-sport or ex-athlete, Ali Larder, and then I think the scared guy goes down there.
Yeah, Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard. Yeah. They go down there, and then they run into Vincent. But before this, Vincent was talking to the guy who's like running the house. He's doing the scares, flipping switches and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, you're doing a good job, but how do you get the house lockdown to happen?" And he's like, "I didn't do that." Personally, for me, I would have took
That
credit
was,
for that. I'd be like, "Yes, yeah, I did do that. Do I get a raise?"
he was talking to like he had a guy hired. I think he had the entire house rigged up with like fake scares, and then he had a guy in the control room that he was like paying to be there to like monitor cameras and stuff.
Yeah, because we do tell
Yeah, I
that
guess.
there was a part of a ceiling that fell in front of like Allie Water in the group, and like the guy did that in the room. 'Cause I think he did that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They had a guy like there like Stephen Price was paying a guy to be there to like monitor cameras and do uh do a bunch of stuff to scare them, like in the control room. He was like the guys from Cabin in the Woods who were in the control room rigging the house.
so yeah, he was there, and he says that I didn't do the lockdown. That's happened on its own. And Vin's like, "What do you mean it happened on its own?" And then Vincent kind of shows up the group, and he's like, "Oh hey," I don't remember what he says. I think he says something in Lost, and they go walk around for a bit. Allie Larder, I can't say her name, and the ex-athlete find like a fuse box type thing, and then he kind of helps her up. And Miller made the comment when she like fixed the electricity beam, like that's not how that works.
Right. Well, he compliments her. He's like that was his giveaway for why she wasn't really an executive VP of a company because he's like I've never met an executive VP who can rewire an entire mansion. And
And tie the
in my head
shoes.
I'm in my head I'm like you still haven't met someone who can do that because she
Yeah,
didn't do it. she, she got lucky that she didn't die. That house has to be wired in 480. Like I do maintenance for a living. And she just reached her hand into a crack in the wall, accidentally touched two wires together.
yeah.
She should have died. Like that would have killed you. And it wouldn't have turned all the lights back on in the house.
Probably for like a second, but like that's it really.
Yeah, it would have just created a big explosion and probably killed her. Because it's got to be like 480, that would cause an explosion. Like, not a, like, the house blowing up kind of explosion, but like enough to blow her arm off and send her flying across the room. Like, that's not how. Like, I understand they probably don't expect people watching the movie to understand or to like be electricians. And I'm definitely not an electrician, but I know enough to know that one, that's not going to work, and two, that's going to kill her.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that happens, and then they have like a little like compliment each other moment. Well, before while he was lifting her up, like her hands on her or his hands on her butt, and then she made a
Yeah, he
comment
was
about it.
touching her butt.
Yeah, and then he was like,
She
"What?
liked it though.
What's helping you up?"
She gave him a nice little smile.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, those two are gonna get in a relationship after this. Probably, probably not. I've seen the second one. I already know what happens. So, which I am not looking forward to in the second one because my god, that one's really bad. Which,
I'm going to be
uh,
drinking a lot more during the second one. I'll make sure I get something stronger than 7% for that.
oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that movie does not make sense, or it's just stupid. But anyway, yeah, so they got the pyro going, and then I think the athlete guy and then other girl get separated, and then she like finds him again, but he's all like weird, and she's like, "This ain't
That's
funny."
that's a ghost just pretending to be him.
Yeah, as a ghost pretend to be him, and she's like, "This is not funny, dude. Stop it." And then like he get like leads her to like this vat of acid, well not acid. Oh my god, this vat of like blood that's there.
Would have been funny though if it was acid.
Yeah, just reaches in. Ah, my hands. She just loses her hands.
She would have lost her arms for real that time. She
Oh
should have
yeah.
lost her arms with the electrical thing, but
Oh
oh, what
man.
was it? Did they ever specify what that
I
was?
think it was blood.
Like blood or was it blood?
It looked like blood. Which I made a comment being like, how is this vat of blood just still here? And then I realized ghosts. Never mind, ghosts can just do that.
Well, that's how you explain anything in horror movies.
Yeah. It's like how this person disappeared, ghosts.
Raccoons.
Oh yeah. So Miller and I had this running joke with the movie where it's like, what if this all ain't just ghosts and just like a pack of raccoons got in there just doing this? Just very well coordinated and trained raccoons,
Price is literally just four raccoons in a man's suit.
right? It's just like, oh yeah, it's what is all this happening? You see raccoons in the background just like messing with the wiring and stuff. And the final, I guess, monster at the end is just a bunch of as a Enigma raccoons.
It's all raccoons.
It's all
They're the ones
raccoons,
who tore the power, or who cut the power. They're the ones who broke the window. There were there were like 18 raccoons just pounding their fists into the stained glass on the roof.
right?
By
They're,
the way, for anyone who's very observant, I changed my drink.
oh yeah, he changed something else now.
Mine and Kugel. Summer Shandy.
Nice. Yeah, I had a Kim and Jack. I had one of those. Yeah.
Ooh. I like Cayman Jack. Their
It's
Moscow mules are good.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so she follows the ghost, and he walks to this vat of blood. He falls into it, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She tries to help him. As you can see, there's something in it. It's not him though, because as she's trying to help this thing out, she sees him in the door, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then she starts getting dragged into the blood vat, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And then the whole panic happens, and then she gets out.
And she thinks she's helping him out of it, but then he ends up helping her out of it.
It's like, yeah, it's a classic trope in horror movies where it's like think you're helping your one friend, but it's not your friend.
Keep trying to catch this damn gnat that keeps flying around me, or like a fruit fly or something. People are gonna think I'm just like I've lost my mind. I'm sitting here like
Right. Maybe you should go to the house on Haunted Hill.
I actually was the only one to escape the asylum. I convinced everyone that I was normal. I have a confession to make. I'm actually four raccoons in a man suit.
Oh my god. It just happens, and then really it comes out from around the corner being like, have you guys seen those damn raccoons? But yeah, that happens, and then they cut back to the scene where they're all together, and then they're like, what the hell's going on, Vincent? We don't know what's going on. Ally Larker almost got drowned in a vat of blood. What's going on? And he's like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the house is actually alive.
Well, he says, what does Pritchard say? He says, he laughs and he's like, oh, you were just playing, or the ghosts were just playing with you. Wait till the real evil comes out.
Oh yeah, he says that too. While he's drinking his Finland vodka. Well, no, he's drinking scotch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He comments on that later.
And then they comment about like, oh, where's Camera Girl? And Camera Girl's like in the basement filming stuff.
Decides to run off on her own.
Yeah,
like a very smart horror movie character.
Yeah. So pretty much she wanders off on her own. She goes down there, records stuff. She's like, oh, this would be great footage. And then she walks into this room, which I think this is probably the coolest shot in the movie. The one where she has the camera and she points it up and she sees like the people operating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not there.
Then she raises it back up and they all turn to look at her.
And then you got like twitchy faceless man in the corner behind her, just like standing there for a second and like run up on her and scream.
Hey, he never shows up again. Like he's just a one and done.
No, because he's a ghost.
And they had a lot of missed potential in that movie with like the guy in the lab, the doctor in the lab coat later on, that twitchy guy.
Yeah, they don't really like use the ghosts at all. They just more say like the house is doing it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's a really cool ghost, and then it never shows up again, and you're like, oh, maybe he'll be the protagonist in or the antagonist in the sequel.
Do you want to spoil anything about that? Because he is.
Kind of. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't finish the second one. I have a confession to make. I got so annoyed with the second one, I made it like halfway through. I quit.
Don't worry, we'll watch it next time.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so she wanders by herself. She finds a ghost. They look at her, and then she gets attacked by a ghost. We cut there. We don't know what happened to her. But the other people kind of went down the basement to look for her, and they find like a puddle of blood in the room she was in. And
Well,
they're
not just a puddle. She looked like the She looked like the. Have you seen The Boys?
I seen the boys. I seen the first episode or not episode season. I think.
Oh, I think it's one of the later seasons when the what's his name, A Train, who can run really fast. He like drags it, like he runs really fast down the street, dragging a dude behind him, and all there is just like a smear of blood on
Oh
the
yeah,
pavement
yeah. That's
because
what
he
happened.
drags the dude at super speeds.
Yeah,
That's what it looked like. She
that's what
just got
happened to her
dragged.
though. She got dragged.
Yeah.
We don't see it. You just kind of see the aftermath of it though. A lot of these kills don't really see on screen. You see some of them, not all of them though. What the house does.
Well, that's because they spent all their budget on breaking that stained glass and the awesome special effects later on.
Oh yeah.
They had to save their budget. They're like, all right, guys, we have $100 and a bag of Tootsie Pops. We need to make this last.
Right. But yeah, they don't know where she is. They saw like a blood puddle and then just dragging like across the floor, up the wall, across the ceiling into a wall. So they don't know what happened to her. I think doesn't Price or not, or whatever his name is, the one guy's like, oh, the house got her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they hear her scream and he's like, well, the house got him. And then he makes a comment being like, wow, it's stuck to not get laid tonight. And he looks at his wife.
Imagine someone just got murdered and your only concern is, I just want to get laid.
Right?
I guess he thought he was going to die. Or he knew. Fuck, spoiler. If you can't make it 15
We're in the
more
spoiler
minutes.
section, so we already warned people this is spoiler section, so you can say it.
Yeah, Pritchard knew he was going to die that night. He was a smart man.
Yeah.
And he knew he was going to die. He just wanted to get laid one last time, or one time. I don't know if he's ever been. I don't know.
But yeah, after that scene, they don't know where she went, and then I think they go to arm up. It's like Vincent has guns ready for him. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, they go to get the guns because they want to be able to do it. Well, his wife says something about it. Well, this is set up just like all of your other stupid games. So, do you have something you want to give everybody?
And he's like, well, yeah, there he is. And then he gives everybody guns, which he mentions the magazine. They said in the movie the clips are welded shut onto the gun, which you mentioned that they're not clips, they're magazines, which is true.
Yeah. Sin number one. Gun sin number one.
Yeah.
In this movie.
There'd be like a couple gun scenes in this one, I guess.
Oh, yeah. We won't get into that. I'm no expert.
But yeah, so the ex-athlete gets a gun. No one else takes a gun. I think only he does. And then his wife. Well, not Vincent's wife takes a gun too, because she points it at him and he's like, "Oh, he's real," and then he doesn't shoot. She doesn't shoot him. She's just like, "Okay, I'll take this then."
Well, doesn't she fire it? And then it shoots, because that's how they find out that they're not actually blanks like he thought they were. Because she ends up hitting the wall of liquor behind him.
I think so, because isn't this like after that she goes to like her room, right?
Yeah, she goes to her bedroom.
Yeah. And then I think they go back down to the basement. At some point, they go back to the basement. They find the one machine that, like, they said, oh, this machine helps schizos and stuff, and you put them in there and it spins. And it's supposed to help them, which it doesn't. A lot of things with asylums don't really help you. So if you find anything in the asylum, be like, oh, this helped people. It probably didn't. It probably made them worse, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, they thought they could, I mean, these were the same, the people that ran those asylums were the same kind of people who thought they could, like, torture people into not being gay anymore. Like... Like, I mean, I don't mean that in a bad, like,
well, you know something funny when you said that? They have something like that in the second movie, too, by the way. The torture thing.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Like, they thought they could, like, they could cure all these things through these obscure means. And these are just things that you just kind of have to, like, there's nothing wrong with people. Like, I mean, back in those times in like the 50s, whenever this movie first came out, whenever the asylum was in operation, like they thought they could I mean, they were like, what is it called? A lobotomy or
Lobotomy,
whatever,
yeah.
where they, yeah, like I don't even understand what they thought a lobotomy did. I feel like your average person your average person today is smarter than a doctor back then who thought that a lobotomy could cure someone. Because anyone today is going to be like, "What are you, stupid?"
No,
I
all the
feel like the
lobotomy did
doctor
was
who
make people
thought.
like docile. That's all it did.
Yeah, and nowadays, I mean, granted, I disagree with the whole pills for people who have like, they try and prescribe pills to people for everything now,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like, at what point are we just gonna learn to just let those people be themselves because they're like 90% of them they're just like people with autism. People with autism, I'm convinced are actually just geniuses.
I mean, most of them are, yeah.
Like they're geniuses at one particular subject. And back then they were like, we need to cure these people. I was like, why? Just like people with Down syndrome are just fucking they love everything. They're such amazing, happy people. What is there to cure? They're wonderful people who love unconditionally. I can't even speak right now.
I remember
Like
there
there's
was a practice back in the day where I don't remember who this guy's doctor was. He wasn't even a doctor. That's a fucked up thing. Most doctors in asylums weren't even doctors. They were just people that could do it.
mhm.
Like
like
personally, the guy who made the lobotomy, I don't even think he was a doctor. I think he just grabbed an ice pick from his like kitchen and just used it.
they're trying to hire people and they're like, we need to hire somebody to cure these patients. And he's like, I've got a cousin who's a felon and he can't find a job. Bring him in.
Yeah. And there was one guy who believed that the symptoms of like mental just like stuff came from teeth, so he would remove people's teeth to like fix it. Yeah. And there was one where a guy was like, "Well, we just removed certain organs that's causing the insanity." That would work. Like there was a doctor that removed people's gallbladders. If they were still bad, they removed their like spleen. If they were still bad, they would remove their like sinuses. And if they were still bad after that, then they would remove like a lung or something.
I feel like they were treating people like they were computers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, something in this computer is broken. Let's just take out parts one by one until we find out which part it is that's broken. And then when they die, we know that not to remove that part next time.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it was. But yeah, anyway, back to the movie, I guess. There's your
Oh, we're doing
asylum.
a movie review, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about asylums too, I guess. This movie is taking place in an asylum. But yeah, so they lost camera girl. They all got guns. They went back downstairs. Is this the scene where Vincent goes back to like the one room, to like the control room where the guy's in? And he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he turns around and he's dead.
Yeah, his face got eaten out.
Yeah, his head got hollowed out in the front.
It doesn't even like Art the Clown went in there off camera,
Yeah,
and that's the only way I can explain what happened to him
yeah. So he's
because
dead
that's kind
now.
of messed up.
Yeah,
That was good. Like that was
that was practical too, I
well
think.
done. Yeah, like showing his face like that. That was well done. It
Yeah.
didn't look fake. Granted, I've never seen a guy with his face hollowed out before, but I'd imagine it looked pretty realistic.
Oh yeah. But yeah, then I think after that scene, his wife dies. Right? She gets like a air quotes died. We learn later that she didn't die, but she gets
Right.
electrocuted. Which, by the
Yeah,
way,
and then all the twists. Sorry.
I was gonna say, by the way, this is going to be like when we're reviewing this, we might have skipped over some parts. If we do, sorry about that. My memory's
If we
kind of bad.
skipped over your favorite part, then I'm sorry that that was your favorite part that we forgot because it was obviously not very memorable.
Right? It's like, oh, you didn't mention the part where. See, I can't really think of a part because it's not memorable.
My favorite part is where she walks past the horse sculpture with all the muscles showing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. In the basement, they have like these weird statues of like muscle people.
Why was that your favorite part? And two, I'm sorry. But that's your favorite part. What is wrong with you?
Right. But yeah, so wife gets electrocuted. Doctor says, "Oh, she's dead." Vincent kind of has like a breakdown a bit. He's sad about it. Although it's weird because the relationship seems like they hate each other, but like he still loves her, I guess.
Well, he's legitimately like he's. That's why I always think he is kind of like a victim throughout. He's not a bad guy. You're led to believe that he's this bad guy this entire movie, but he's really not.
Well, yeah, he's not.
I mean, he's a dickhead like every rich guy, but I mean, he's not a bad guy. He's still got a heart.
Then I think after this,
Kind
they
of.
think Vincent's killing people. So the group think Vincent's killing people.
Yeah.
I think after that part. Like I said, my memory's bad. Yeah, we just watched it, but my memory's just horrible right now with this. But when does he go in the spinny room? Because I know Vincent goes in there.
Like right after that, I think, because they're convinced that he killed his wife.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh no, he pulls the gun because he says what does he say? He says, "Well, option A is that she did this to herself, and I know that's not possible. Option B is that I did this, and I know I didn't do this. So that only leaves option C, that one of you guys did this." And he pulls the gun on all of them because he's convinced that one of them is slowly killing everybody off one by one so that they can collect the all of the checks.
Which is a fair thing to think.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He just watched his wife die. So
Yeah.
he's
Die, air quotes.
yeah, that's why I feel bad for Vincent Price the entire movie.
Yeah, you do feel bad for him for a while. But yeah, he gets put in the spinny box. The doctor, which by the way, the spinny box, I think I said during when we were watching the movie, it's an actual thing. Like they actually made that to help people, but it didn't help people. No.
Yeah. By the way, comment down below. What was it that you offered me, which I expect you to follow through on? Would you spend 5 minutes on one of those for $1 million? Comment down below.
Yeah, maybe we
I
spend.
would.
Yeah, Miller would.
I in fact would go all the way down to $1,000. I'd spend 5 minutes in there for $1,000.
You know, a lot of people will probably spend the night in that house for $1 million too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for a million
Well, I
dollars,
mean,
oh yeah.
if you're not dumb, I feel like all of them could have survived
Yeah, you
if they had
imagine the
just not
fact
been
that if
dumb.
they just stayed in the main room and not gone anywhere. I think the house would have done something though, right?
Well, they kind of released the evil, though.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that later, but yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, he gets in the spinning room. The doctor, yeah, Vincent's yelling at him, be like, "Let me out!" The doctor's like, "What?" And he guys starts up the spinny thing, and he's like, "I'll come back later for you." And he like walks away while the thing's activated, spinning.
to be fair, he does come back later for him.
Yeah. And then I don't remember what the group does. I don't know if they look for other things or they look around. Well, no, this is where they learn that they're all related to the house, right? They find the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, they find out that every single one of them has an ancestor that survived or that worked at the house or the asylum.
And they survived, yeah. Because, yeah, they survived. That's why the house wanted them back.
The house is getting vengeance
You know?
because the house is dumb.
And this is when, like, the other guy with the glasses kind of explains that, like, the ghosts can go through electricity, through phone lines, and stuff like that. And that's how the ghost, like, rewrote the list, because it went through a phone line to the computer and retyped it out.
Yeah, because back then, some of our viewers may not know this, but when the internet was first invented, it wasn't wireless. You had
No,
to go through a phone line.
yeah, you had to do a phone line. And if someone had to make a phone call, you have no internet for a bit.
If you were, and I don't say this from experience, but if you were this close to beating Diablo with your friends one night at 10 o'clock at night, and you only had an hour before bedtime, and all of a sudden your mom had to make a phone call, and you were this close to beating Diablo with your friends, and you knew you weren't going to have another chance that night to do it, your mom was the devil. And the guy that you were about to fight in Diablo was no longer the devil. Your mom was.
Oh my god. It's like, bug out the phone, I'm trying to play Diablo.
That was the hardest level in Diablo. A lot of people think it was the butcher or the cow level. No, it was getting your mom off the fucking phone. So, all
God.
right, I digress.
But yeah, so they came to terms that the house invited him there, and then I think we come back to Vincent in the spinning room. That's when the spinning room's kind of going, and he's grabbing onto the handlebars that are on top. He puts on the goggles that's in there, and then he sees like the image start like moving.
And Kobe Bryant is dribbling the basketball.
I think it's yeah. Well, it's Jeffrey Combs. I think Jeffrey Combs like grabbing the ball, and he looks at him and he starts laughing. And then we get some like super cut of him in like the asylum and stuff. A lot of messed up
Yeah, that
imagery, a bit.
scene doesn't make any sense.
I think it's supposed to
Like,
like represent him going mad.
yeah,
Yeah, because he gets he's in like a stretcher and he has a thing in his mouth and he sees all this messed up stuff going on. Like there's like a naked lady sitting on like a weird harness thing, like
it was
spilling blood in her mouth.
actually a sex toy. They can be purchased on Amazon for approximately $199.99.
How do you know that specifically?
Research for this podcast.
Oh yeah, it's research. Yes.
So, anyways, the next scene.
Yeah. So yeah, he's in the last scene of this weird like messed up imagery is that he gets thrown into a vat of water, and then he's like swimming around and he sees another girl who's like bleeding from her mouth in the water, and then he sees this ghoul in there who has like no eyes and screams at him. And then we cut back to him just sitting in the corner of the. No, it cuts back to him in the machine. The ball's dribbling, and then like his wife catches it, and then he dribbles it. Well, the wife dribbles it, and it's his head, and she's like smiling at him while holding his decapitated head. And then we cut to him just kind of sitting in the corner of the thing, just kind of waiting for it to be done. Yet again, $1 million to be in there for 5 minutes.
If we wanted to delve into the lore of this, do you think there is like foreshadowing in the things that he saw when he was in there?
I don't think so.
I never
There's
really thought
nothing with
about it.
water.
Like, was it just with his wife being the one that catches the ball and stuff?
That may
Do you
be
think any of that's
foreshadowing,
meant to
yeah.
be foreshadowing?
Yeah, I think it is
Because I've
foreshadowing.
never really
but-
thought about if they put that much thought into that scene. Like, I never really thought about the lore of this movie.
I mean, we gotta watch the original to understand it. I mean, the lore is pretty much in the asylum. A breakout happened. The inmates killed everybody, and they all died in there because of a fire. That's kind of like the whole premise of it. And then now it's haunted.
I wonder, do you think the writers of this movie were like, man, nobody understood. We put so much thought into into this particular scene, and everyone just kind of like that was the scene where everyone went to go get more popcorn.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's a bad scene. It's kind of representing him going mad, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Which you could be right with the
But it's-
foreshadowing part, because the fact that his wife's holding his decapitated head and laughing at him, so. But yeah, then after that scene, we cut back to the doctor with the dead wife. He kisses the dead body, and then injects the dead body with drugs, and then she goes back to life. She was pretending to be dead the entire time. Which I don't know how. I mean, I guess you could probably pretend to be electrocuted, I guess.
oh, I could do it.
Oh, yeah.
I can shake my whole body. I used to do that in a haunted house that I worked in. I was the guy because I had this unique ability to like shake my entire body like I'm having a seizure. So they strapped me down, or they didn't strap me down, but they put me down in this fake electric chair. And then people would walk into the room and I'd be wearing a mask and they'd think I was a dummy. And then I would just like convulse while they were walking through. And they would think I was just a dummy getting pretend electrocuted, and then I would jump up and chase them around the room.
Yeah, I guess he's
Now I feel like everyone wants me to do it.
But with all the lights flashing, I mean, yeah, yet again, you could probably fake that with the lights flashing and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, she's alive. They talk about how they're going to blame the whole murders on Vincent. They do kind of like a little refresher where they're going to tell the cops. And then the doctor mentions the fact, well, she asks how they found the camera girl yet. And he was like, well, no, we can't find her at all. And then she's like, well, we need a body to prove that Vincent killed people. So she just ends up killing the doctor there.
Yeah, that was. Well, what is it? I love the line that she uses. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she says, she's like, "Well, hear me out. What if we frame him for the death of someone else?" And he goes, "Well, who are we gonna kill to do that?" And she goes, "Hear me out." And she stabs him.
Yeah, hear me out. Stab. Yeah, and then he gets stabbed, and then he dies. And then I think she releases Vincent from the spinny tube thing.
Yeah.
And then the
Well,
group comes back after that. Because they now know that they're all related to the people in this house, who were in this house that escaped. Which I don't know how you can escape it and went into lockdown. I guess you could run out while the doors are shutting, but...
well, they were the employees that called in sick that day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really explain much about, like, did people get out?
Well, they did.
Or
That's what the house wants them back, so they escaped.
wonder how they got out.
Maybe they called in sick, I don't know.
What genius came up with that theory?
It's just the one day where you call in sick and you're like, oh, thank God I called in sick. But yeah, anyway, so Vincent gets released. The group figures out that they're related to the house. They go find Blackheart. His name's Blackheart. And they go into the spinny tube thing that Vincent. Blackheart's in there. They open the door, and Blackheart's dead. Well, no, they went into the room where the wife was, and they found blood.
And they saw that she was missing, yeah.
Yeah, and there's blood everywhere, and they're like, oh, we gotta go see if Vincent's still in the room. And they go back to the room. They see Blackheart's in there. They open the door. He's dead. He's got decapitated. His body was in there and thrown out. They all still think Vincent's doing it.
It was a pretty genius idea on her part to frame him for that, because it does look like he did it.
Yeah, it was a
He's
smart
missing
thing to do.
from
Yeah.
he's missing from the spinny room, and now the guy that put him in there is in there and dead. I mean, anyone with any kind of logical thinking ability is going to be like, yeah, he was locked. Blackheart locked him in here. Now he's gone, and Blackheart's severed head is in there. There's only one logical idea.
Yeah, so
One logical conclusion.
I think they split up. But then Allie Larker finds Vincent, and he's like all delirious. He's like, I don't know what happened. Please help me. And then he's like telling her to help, or yeah, telling her to help him. But she's like holding the gun, being like, stay away. And then she ends up shooting him, and then he dies. Air quotes, died. Which I don't understand why they're like the gun's full of blanks. 'Cause I thought the blanks would only show like gun flare, like the flare from the gun barrel. I didn't think it would actually show like it hitting things.
Well, I think that was another thing that the house supposedly did, is he loaded all the guns with blanks. Because the entire movie, I mean, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. I know the actor's name, Vincent Price. I keep wanting to call him Jeffrey Rush, but Vincent Price. He like the entire movie, it's all about entertainment for him. He never wants anyone to get hurt or die. He doesn't think the house is really haunted. He doesn't want anyone killing anybody. Like, it's all entertainment for him. So I think he legitimately loaded the guns with blanks, and then the house,
The raccoons.
the raccoons, a bunch of raccoons in like welding helmets and stuff. They're cutting open the magazines and loading them with actual shells.
Right.
I'm imagining a bunch of raccoons in like a welding bay with masks, and they're putting in hours of work and doing everything that he did.
I guess to explain why we say we're raccoons is because of the fact that during the movie, I think I mentioned like, what if this was the whole happening, but it's run by raccoons?
It could be. The whole movie could be explained by raccoons.
Yeah.
Except the demonic entity in the end of the movie, of course. But if you take
that's just
account,
enigma of raccoons and
they're using a flashlight and making shadow figures.
Right.
Everything off camera is just raccoons.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so she shoots him. They think he's dead. And then they kind of like walk off. Allie's kind of shaken up by it. She killed a man. Well, she thinks she killed a man. And then they kind of like go up upstairs. The wife shows back up, covered in blood. She cut up the guy's head, and she kind of explains that like, oh, I only married you for your money and stuff like that, and started talking shit about him while he's dead. And then he's not dead because he grabs her by the throat and be like, oh yeah, huh? And he's like all pissed off because she's just kind of admitted that like she never really loved him and all that. And then he starts throwing her around, and then he's like, oh, you want people to think I killed you? Well, what if I just actually kill you?
I mean, honestly, if he would have just stolen the video camera earlier in the movie and recorded all of that while he was pretending to be dead, he would have had. I mean, that's an open and shut case in a divorce courtroom.
Yeah. But yeah, they end up getting into a tussle. By tussle, I mean he just kind of throws her around, stuff like that. And then he throws her through like this old door. We saw the door earlier in the movie. Like it's through a crack in a wall. There's like an old rusty door that's like making noises. She gets thrown through that, and then the shadow monster kind of starts coming out.
Can we touch on that real quick? I know we didn't earlier, but when they're first going down to the basement to look for the control room to reverse the lockdown, and she sees like that crack in the wall, and she says, "What's up with that? It looks like someone went through an awful lot of effort to seal that room up." How does that look like someone went through a lot of effort? There's a giant man-sized crack in the wall.
Yeah.
That looks like someone went through minimal effort to kind of pretend to cover it up.
Yeah, it's like they did like a half-assed job, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine. They will never go down here." Which, by the way, to also mention, they never find the control room. They're like, "It's not down there." So, big shocker.
Well, that's actually my theory. Is that Pritchard is actually the ghost, and he lied to them to start all of this.
Yeah, Pritchard.
Try and prove that theory wrong.
I mean, Pritchard was a ghost in the end, though, but he like helped them.
Oh yeah, damn it! You just proved my theory wrong.
But yeah, so.
Touché.
But yeah, wife gets through the door. Shower stuff starts happening. Vincent's like, let's get out of there. And she's like, I'm trying to. And then the shadow thing eats her. The CGI in this scene nowadays looks pretty bad. But back then, it probably looked pretty good. Because her face, like, melting because the shadow thing's, like, eating her or something. And then she turns to, like, ash. Her hand does.
It's been done in a lot of other movies, like something similar to that, and it looks better than a lot of other movies that have tried to do it.
Oh yeah,
like it was really good for its time. Even today, I mean, it could still stand up to a lot of other movies with effects like that.
Yeah, I would say yeah. That's probably fair to say.
Like showing someone's whole body disintegrate. I've seen much worse.
I have too, yeah. Ever heard of Thanksgiving? Yeah.
Ooh. Let's pretend that movie doesn't exist, because otherwise we'll have to do a review on it.
Well, we mentioned it, so you know it's gonna happen.
Nobody heard you. Cut that part out.
Cut that part out. But yeah, so Vince gets chased by the shadow monster. He gets to the door. He's banging on it, being like, "Let me in! There's something on me!" Oh, and then Preacher kind of walked up the door. He's like, "Hey, it's Vincent," and they're all like, "Well, Vincent's dead though." And it's like, "Well, do you not understand the fact that he explained that it's?" I mean, I guess the whole blank thing, like you said, the house probably did something. So
I think the house did a lot of things, or Pritchard did all of it.
You're still gonna be on that fact that he caused all of it.
I have to come up with my own theory.
I mean, you go with it, man. You go with it.
Makes me sound smart to have my own theory.
Maybe your theory can get backed up in the second movie.
We're gonna have the writer and the director on, and they're gonna be like, "What? No, it was raccoons. You guys didn't pick up on that?" And you're gonna be like, "Ah, in your face!"
Yeah. It's like you see the raccoons in the foreground. And at the end shot, you see like a group of 40 raccoons right out of the house.
You put way too much effort into your theory. It was literally just raccoons the whole time.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
But yeah, so Vincent's banging the door, and then Vincent like falls back into what I believe is like a window that's blocked, and then Pierce opens the door, and he gets taken by the Shadow Man, so he's gone.
Well, no, Pierce survives that. Like somehow he hides behind the corner, and Pritchard, after he
No, that's
opens the door, he
Price.
gets sucked in, right? Didn't Price sacrifice himself or
That
something?
that's towards the end,
Oh,
because yeah, Price gets pushed aside, and then the guy with glasses opens the door, and he gets absorbed by the Shadow Mass and taken away.
rest in peace.
And
Guy
then
who I firmly believe caused all of this.
the guy who I thought was Rick Moranis for the longest time. But yeah, so he gets taken, the Shadow Being goes away. Vincent's kind of running out. Ali Lauder's character kind of freaking out because she's like, oh, I killed you though, and he's just staring at her and he's like, run. So yeah, Price runs. He finds the attic where the mechanism is for the defense thing, and then his idea was to he tries to crank it. He can't crank it. So he grabs like a pipe and he thinks if I slam this pipe into this crank here, it should move it, right? But then he does and it breaks off and he's like, oh okay. But then the thing opens up because why not? And he's like, oh, okay. And then he yells down at the other two, being like, hey, there's a way out up here. And then they're like, okay. But they've got a chase scene with the Shadow Monster, the two. You don't really see the Shadow Monster that much. Mostly it's just the floor exploding behind him.
Well, that's because it costs a lot of money to to do the special effects for that, I imagine.
Would it cost
They
more
didn't
to
have
use the
enough money.
special effects, or just do like charges that blows up on the floor?
I feel like you're probably right. It probably would have cost more money to blow up a floorboard than to have someone do the special. Well, I don't know. I've blown things up before and it never cost me anything. Um, but I've never. I don't know how long it would take to do those special effects. I imagine back in 1999, it probably cost a lot more than it would today. Someone could probably do that with modern technology in like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
This entire movie could be remade today in 20 minutes by some nerd with a neck beard.
Oh, I forgot to mention there's also a CGI scene of they look down a hallway, and the hallway at the end of it turns to like a mouth, and this was so they're proof the house is alive. There's that scene. But yeah, so they get chased by the Shadow Man with the floor blowing up, and then they get to the attic, and then athlete guy runs to the opening of the window, and he's like, "Oh god, we can get out this way," and then Ali Larder, my god, is just standing there, just being like, "I don't know what to do," and then Vincent kind of shows up and he sees the Shadow Monster about to attack her, and then Vincent sacrificed himself by pushing her out of the way, and then gets turned to ash by the Shadow Monster.
So was it him that helped them in the end, or was it Pritchard?
This Pritchard, his ghost, like appeared and pulled the chain to open it for the one guy, because Ali Larder gets out, but then the thing shuts because the shadow thing cut the rope to the weight, so the thing shuts.
So all in all, Price is a good guy.
I mean, he sacrificed himself, yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a good guy moment right there. Which, by the way, towards the end of this, when the shutter's shut and the one guy's stuck with the shadow monster, it's just the most funniest line read where he's just like, "I didn't do anything. I was adopted." It's just
Well, it is a fair point.
it is,
If you're
yeah,
trying to punish people for the sins of their ancestors, and one of them's like, "Well, I was adopted," I mean, it's gonna make you stop and think, like, "Oh well, I guess." Like, it's not really fair.
yeah, I guess, yeah.
I mean, it's not fair in general to punish people for the sins of their ancestors, but especially not if they were adopted.
It's like, well, by law, you are related, so I have to kill you. So your last name is their last name now. But yeah, so before he dies, the ghost of Pierce appears and he pulls on the rope that got cut, so the athlete can get out, and then he disappears. And then the movie ends with those two on top of the house. They get the checks, by the way. The checks are like wedged between the iron door thing, they pull out, and all the checks are there made out to cash, which didn't make sense because why did he need their names for the checks if it's just made out to cash?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you give a fake name. And how are they gonna like? They wouldn't be able to cash them if they were made out to other people. Like, what do you do in that case? Like, you walk into the bank, like, I'd like to cash these, and they're like, well, these three are made out to someone else, and it's like, yeah, but they died. And the banker's looking at you like, what? And you're like, it was this whole game thing where if you didn't survive, then someone else got your check, and it was a long story. Like, what do you do as a banker in that case where they're like, no,
Oh, we
it was a
forgot to
game.
mention we see Camera Girl's body too. It's not towards the end. Well, it's somewhere around the end. We saw Camera Girl's body. She's like cut up and put up in this like display case thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's boobs. The exact timestamp will be in the description below
No, it won't.
for all of you perverts out there.
No, you can DM Miller about that.
Looking at you,
The
guy. I was gonna say an actual name, but then I was like, just come up with a random name. But then I was like, some guy with that name is gonna watch this video and be like, why is he calling me a pervert?
Looking at you, Jonah.
Jonah. there's a there's going to be a guy named Jonah who comments down below.
Right.
Fuck you guys, I'm not a pervert. What was the timestamp again for those tits? It's Jonah Hill.
It's Jonah. Oh, God. But yeah, so yeah, we do see her dead, so everybody's dead. And then it ends with them on top of the house, so laughing. They have the checks, and then I think Alan Lauder's character is like, "Well, how do we get down from here?" Then it cuts the credits, and we get "Sweet Dreams" in the credits.
Sweet dreams are made of Oh.
Made of the year, or made of I don't remember the lines of it. I always forget the lines of that song.
So, sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Something like that.
Yeah, it's that. And that's the end of House on Hill remake. Personally, like I said, fun movie. It's a good movie. It's not like a great. You're not gonna see this movie like if people go this movie being like, "I want this to change my life." It's not going to. All it is.
Changed my life.
Yeah, it changed your life. Yeah. Now it makes you think of asylums and raccoons. But yeah, so this movie, I would say, if you want like a fun time watching a movie, this is probably a movie you want to watch.
It's if you're looking like if you're like I don't even know what this movie's on, like Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max or what it's available on. But if you're cuddling with anyone who made it this far has probably already seen it or has no reason to watch it because they just got a full recap.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something fun to like something entertaining to fall asleep to with your significant other, it's a good one. You're not going to be disappointed. And that's what I like about it. It's one of those movies that you're not going to be disappointed. If you fall asleep halfway through it, you didn't really miss out on much. If you stay up late watching the entire thing, then it'll have been worth, getting a little bit less sleep at night. It's a fun movie.
Oh yeah, it means a super fun movie. I think it's great.
You're not going to get halfway through it and be like, oh, this is a complete waste of my time.
But yeah, so I think should we go back to our ratings? Have they changed at all, or do you think that they're still the same?
I'd say this mine's still probably the same, somewhere around a 7.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Out of slash, it's probably 7 slash out of 10. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's determine what is something that we would both give a 0 to and something we would both give a 10 to, just so we have like some reference.
Thanksgiving
like
is a 0.
Okay, and Cabin in the Woods is a 10.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I love Cabin in the Woods.
Oh yeah, Cabin in the Woods is a great movie. That's probably like if people haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, go watch that movie. It is so great.
So that's kind of our scale then, like
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, or what would be another 0 that people may have actually seen? Because I feel like you and I are the only two people in the world who have seen Thanksgiving.
I don't know. I don't know. It's really a bad movie.
I
I
know
would
I've seen like a dozen.
I would say for a zero, people might be mad at me for saying this, but The Nun too.
Ooh, I would put the Nun one as a as a zero
The
too.
second one is just a retelling of the first one.
Like the remake of Wrong Turn, I would also put as a zero.
Oh yeah, the remake where they kind of stepped away from the cannibalistic hillbillies to now like some kind of cult in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like obviously this is a political thing and we're making fun of, rural America. And then the girl somehow becomes an expert archer. That was my main concern.
Oh, the expert archer part. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's never shot a bow and arrow in her life, and then randomly she finds a bow and arrow and she's able to like make this perfect shot.
It's like the
Uh,
in a movie where you're like, hey, you know how to use this gun? They hand him a handgun. It's like I never fired a gun before, and they check the magazine and they just fucking pull the slide back and they just go forward.
Yeah, or like anyone who's fired a handgun in general is like it takes a lot of practice.
Oh
Like
yeah,
firing a handgun accurately is hard as shit. You
yeah.
can't just pick one up for the first time and go like boom and get a headshot from like 20 feet away.
Oh yeah.
You'll be lucky if you even
Did you mention your
graze them.
gun handling sin? The other one you saw?
Oh, the trigger discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, after she's like, who was it?
It
It
was the
was the
wife.
wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like standing there and she's like holding it up in the air and she's got her finger on the trigger and she's like trying to act all tough
Yeah.
after shooting the liquor cabinet behind the guy and she's got her finger on the trigger and everything and she's holding. Then at one point she's actually like holding it up like this and she's if you look at where it's aiming directly at one of the other people. So she's got her finger on the trigger and she's accidentally aiming it at someone else
And then
over
she's
her
like, if
shoulder.
anyone comes to my room while I'm sleeping, I'm gonna kill you. And then it walks off. Yeah.
Well, I feel like even if someone doesn't come to your room, they're probably likely to die because you're very terrible at handling a firearm. You might actually kill yourself the way you're handling or unalive yourself. I'm sorry. We might have
Yeah.
to
So,
edit that out. I think
yeah.
that word.
You can't say that. You gotta say unalive because YouTube censoring shit is stupid.
You might accidentally unalive. Like we're better. I think we'll be okay. Like she's probably gonna unalive herself with an accidental discharge of
Well,
that.
like I said, she's not actually the wife. She's four raccoons in a person suit. So they don't know gunship safety.
They don't. They never went to hunter safety when they were 16.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the review, I guess. Yeah, it's a good movie. Go check it out. It's a fun movie. I would say if people enjoy movies from the 90s, this is probably up your alley.
Yeah, I don't think I would change my rating because every problem I have with it can just be attributed to the stupidity of the people that were actually in the movie. Like it's entertaining for its time. The CGI was really good. The acting was on par with 90s movies.
Oh yeah.
Everything that I dislike about the movie is on it are honestly like the like I said, the trigger discipline, the calling it a clip instead of a magazine, things like that are things that normal people would do. Like I don't have any problems with it that the writers of the movie probably didn't look at and go like, whatever.
But yeah, I
It's
wouldn't change
realistic.
my rating either. I think it's that's a good spot for it, I would say.
6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Or bump it up to a 7.
Yeah.
Be generous. It's a good movie.
Yeah, make sure you guys go check
No
it out.
complaints.
And if you have seen it or just watched it, let us know in the comments. We read the comments, well
Yeah.
I do.
Would you spend the night in that house for $1 million?
Well, that's a question right there. Yeah, would you spend a night in that house for $1 million? Let us know. I
And
know.
answer that question before watching the movie and after watching the movie, because I'm sure there's some people out there who would still be like, yeah, I'd spend the night in that house after watching the movie.
And watch the second one too, and suffer like we will.
Here's another question. Would you suffer through the second movie for $1 million?
Yeah.
There's probably someone out there that's like, I would stay the night in that house just to avoid having to watch the second movie. Like, I don't even need $1 million. Just promise me you won't make me watch the second movie.
I know I am hyping up this second movie, but I assure you it is very bad. But yeah. But yeah, in the comments, we stay at that house for $1 million overnight. And let us know if you watched it. So yeah, I guess that's the end of the review for today. Next week, we're gonna review House on a Hill. Return to House on a Hill. That's what it's called. And this came out, I think, in the 2000s, like the early 2000s. I think 2001 it came out. So yes, we'll be a review on that. So make sure you guys check in on that if you like this review. And yeah, I guess that's about it. We don't have a song ready. I know we said we have a song afterwards, but we don't have that ready yet. So we're still working out and stuff.
I was actually just thinking that. I was like, how about tomorrow after I get done with church? I sit
Yeah,
down wearing the same clothes that I'm wearing now, and I just play a song.
yeah, we just have it overlaid with your camera and then just pretend you're actually doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, or I can just, we can do the song in like a second segment afterwards,
Yeah.
because I guess it'll be daylight when I get home tomorrow. So obviously it'll look like it's recorded at a different or during the day. So
Oh,
yeah, I'll play something tomorrow. We'll just do that. Like, it won't necessarily always be improv, but I'll do if you want me to, I'll do a song tomorrow. I'll just record it tomorrow and send it to you.
I mean we can. So, but we'll let's end the video though before we talk about that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to show your friends. Let people know that we're a cool podcast. And yeah, hope you guys have a good one. Millie, you want to say anything before we head out? All right. All right, good talk. But yeah, y'all have a good one.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching.
See everybody.